And there you have it. I got creamed.
That was that. That was a large victory for the Forge Fathers.
So large, in fact, that I got 8 victory points.
To my 27.
Yeah, so it's pretty close. Pretty close.
Having held the various pieces of defensible terrain and the 2 strategic assets for which I received triple points. However, really, I attribute the victory to... I had units in positions that could basically already see Tyler's troops and destroy many of them from the beginning.
Yeah, and I had a lot of units that needed to get into buildings, and by the time they either got up to the buildings or got in the buildings, they had already wasted a valuable turn of shooting that then resulted in them getting annihilated. On my team, at least, I feel like the heavy weapons teams are the way to go. They are really great, especially the missiles. Missiles and blast in this game are just insane.
Blast continues to show its power. It's huge.
If you have one guy with 2 dice, he has the potential to get 10 dice off of that. That ignores cover. It's great, but it seems a little crazy sometimes.
One fun moment was finally eliminating that last little unit on top of the little tower, which then afterwards my Storm Rage veteran, or not the Storm Rage, the Steel Warriors were able to jump in and seize that asset. It was kind of fun to have them waiting in reserve to then take ground after the opposing teams were finally taken out. As well as like timing of with the move order, being able to, in the early game, being able to get the brokers to take that first building and eliminate some of Tyler's forces there. That was really fun, and that felt cool. Also, like the need to maneuver my own leaders to be within range of the units they want to give orders to. That's really cool. I'm really enjoying the pool of command dice and choosing how and when to use those and figuring that out. Though clearly the refresh order
order is just the greatest thing, and it almost makes a reason for why would you use anything else. I used Firestorm a few times. That was really effective, so I can't knock it too much. But refresh is just incredibly powerful, especially when you have a ridiculous unit like the Storm Rage veterans with all the autocannons. I mean, those things pick up a unit every time they shoot, and it's almost impossible not to with how many dice they get. So, yeah, refresh order on that was incredibly powerful. When the Marines actually did get to shoot, I feel like they did pretty well. Those grenade launchers combined with the laser rifles was actually a pretty good combination. So bringing more of them would be a good idea for me. It was interesting to play all infantry. Normally, I think it is wise to put them into a mule or something like that, and then try to use a refresh order when they get out so they are effective. That or a Hornet, those are also a good option. I feel like maneuverability was definitely one of the harsher things for the GCPS, which is probably why you don't bring all infantry.
In that vein, the Valkyrs were quite effective.
Yeah.
Both, they have great armament, and it's really helpful to be able to pop them out and shoot. Then in the next turn, shoot, pop them back. I was able to really minimize their exposure, and from ducking in and out from behind a building, choose a unit to shoot at and minimize their exposure. So at a time, they were really only ever getting shot at by possibly one unit at a time.
I was surprised how little of a factor the Forged Guard were in this game. I feel like they have the potential to be either game-changing or a game like this where they sit around and don't do very much. So that was interesting to see, because I really thought that they would be a force to be reckoned with, but they didn't seem to do any more damage than things like Storm Rage veterans, or like you said, the Valkyrs are great.
That surprised me as well. I'm actually trying to think if either of my Forge Guard teams successfully eliminated a unit ever. And with a lot of terrain, it's possible. I mean, clearly they're monsters in close combat if they're able to get there. But by leaving terrain, by leaving it, it's a long action. Then you're exposed, and then you need to move to get close to a building to take another long action to get into the opposing building in order to assault it. And in this time period, no Forge Guard unit, or likely any unit, is really actually going to survive to do that.
Yeah, I definitely took a lot of big hits this game, but as with most Warpath games, I feel like I am learning more and more each time I play it. So I can't make a final judgment on how the game is specifically like right now, but I do feel like I'm learning more and more tricks and things that I need to hammer out. But I feel like if you don't do that, this game will be very frustrating. If you start out and try to play a game and just get creamed, because it's very likely it'll happen. I don't think there was too many times where I've made horrible tactical errors. There was one where I moved some guys in the wide open. But other than that, there's things, very, very subtle, nuanced things, like maybe I should do something different with the Rangers, or not run some guys up forward and wait a turn, or wait until he activates a guy. So there's a lot of things to think about, and that's what I like about Warpath, is that there's a lot of tactical things I should be thinking about, but at the same time, there's a lot of gripes I have about certain things that really bug me in other aspects.
Overall, the commands definitely seem to be the most interesting thing, both making sure you have the appropriate dice and deciding how you're going to use them. Though again, like, the refresh order is just so good that there's little reason to not do that.
That order is great, but I feel like an order, kind of like a command dice in Dead Zone, where you could activate 2 units before your opponent activates one, would just be a fantastic order. That would also rival the refresh if that were an order.
That would be helpful. I continue to observe in games, and even in the previous games that Tyler and I had played, there's a clear disparity of the units that just annihilate things and the units that don't really do anything. They're not really capable of destroying other units hardly. And so my intent in approaching this game with really kind of being almost all infantry, keeping it on a more even level to take out the super defensive things and the super crazy powerful things. And I feel like I continue to observe the same thing, where there's a few units that just annihilate things, and are highly Storm Rage veterans that are just highly destructive. And as of now, I mean, there's no reason to not just do an army entirely of these.
Yeah, that's a potential bug that I see, is some of the best units for the GCPS are the tanks. If you brought all Lancer tanks and then maybe some heavy weapon teams, it'd be a great list, but I don't know if it's exactly fair, per se. I feel like it shies away from the core of what Warpath should be, and shouldn't be just bringing power units. It should be bringing a variety of things that'll accomplish different tasks, and I feel like if I were to bring all tanks, and he were to bring all Storm Rage veterans, and maybe a couple super heavy tanks, we would get a game out of it, but I don't know how fun it would be. I don't feel like it would be the combined arms thing that Warpath is going for. So maybe some force selection actually wouldn't hurt in this game.
In addition, the general degree of destruction that units are capable of really makes it harder to actually get your troops to the other side of the battlefield if you're
especially if you're something like Plague. It is incredibly hard to move your guys up, because if they are even in the open for one activation, they're toast. They are gone. So there's a lot of little tricky things you'll have to do in order to play an assaulty army, or any assault unit in general is going to have a hard time doing anything, which makes sense for a sci-fi universe, but still kind of hurts. Something we probably should have done is section off our big buildings into different quadrants of big buildings. That way the effective range for once you enter a building wouldn't be another 12 inches because the building is so large. Kind of what I'm getting at here is the Brockers moving in, just barely touching that corner, let them take over the whole building. And perhaps we should have split the terrain into a couple different sections, making it just a little bit slower to move through the buildings themselves. But that's just one other thing to think about.
Overall, it was time well spent and with good company.
Likewise.
So that's all that's the big takeaway.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll be able to play again soon, and we'll try some new different tactics, different units, and see how things go.
Cheers.
Until next time, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and keep rolling 8s.